The girl was dying, so when her parents were no longer there, she quietly called her male classmate to the house and hugged her tightly from behind.
Artlist.io.
The boy was so nervous that his hands were shaking and he closed his eyes, ready to accept it in silence, when the girl suddenly came to a screeching halt. But how could the youthful boy resist the temptation? Pounced on the girl, mouth breathing heavily. The girl realized that her joke had gone too far and tried desperately to break free. But the boy's grip got tighter and tighter until the girl cried.
Reimagined.
And only then did she finally come to her senses and left the girl's house in a panic. This is an anime that has been praised by CCTV and has been regarded by countless netizens as a must-see love movie in this life. And that's what it is. The story begins with an appendix that day. The boy went to the hospital to remove the stitches from his appendix surgery and accidentally found a diary on the floor. He opened it to find out who it belonged to. But he didn't realize that it was full of stories about his battle with a disease. The diary's owner has pancreatic cancer, which is much harder to treat.
There was no cure. The oppressive feeling between the lines was suffocating. In Section C, a girl suddenly called out to him. "This diary is mine." Unlike most people, when the boy learned that the girl was terminally ill, he didn't express sympathy, just casually returned the diary. The girl's shocked by his cold attitude, but it's just his nature. He's always been shy and never dated anyone.
Music licensing.
He didn't have a single friend around, always going home alone after school, but that day, he saw a familiar figure by the roadside. You wouldn't believe it, but the girl from the hospital was there. The guy just ignored the obvious setup. He turned away on his own, but the girl quickly followed him, leaving you and me behind. The girl was chatting and skipping along, not like someone dying, but the boy never responded. In the end, he had to ask the boy not to tell anyone about his illness. He thought it was just a joke, but by the second week, the girl actually signed up for the library job to work with the boy.
Music licensing.
He couldn't understand why the girl chose to spend her limited time with him instead of doing something meaningful, but she said, "We never know if tomorrow or an accident will come first. Still, aren't you doing these boring tasks? So, let's just cherish the present." She pulled out her diary, saying it listed things she wanted to do before she died, hoping he'd join her. Think of it as doing a good deed. After school, I went with a girl to a barbecue place, sticking to the idea of eating what you need. She ordered all kinds of animal organs. Even though it's just superstition, she chooses to believe it. After dinner, she took the boy to her favorite street, only to see a thug knock over an old lady. The thug didn't apologize. Instead, he blamed the grandma for dirty in his clothes. She kicked the thug hard, grabbed the boy, and they ran like crazy. Wang then found himself in front of a cafe without realizing it. Inside, he liked the vibe and planned to return with a friend. The classmates started talking about the two, saying the girl was the class beauty while the boy was just an ordinary guy. How did she notice him? The boy didn't want to explain the rumors, so he avoided the girl when she asked him out again. He didn't want people gossiping, but he couldn't resist her persistence and agreed again. After school, they went to a cake shop. I didn't expect to run into the girl's best friend. She was upset. It's such a guy. The girl gently replied to her friend's questioning. What if they all came to the beach at sunset?
Artlist.io.
The girl ran barefoot on the beach, carefree like a child. In these brief moments, he could forget his suffering from illness. The boy watched the girl walk away, lost in thought, and surprisingly started to care about her. Is it Timmy? Huang Dummy woke up. Open up to him, saying, "You're the only one who treats me normally since I got sick. The doctor is the only one who tells me the truth. While my family, do you still want to find a partner?" But this time, the girl was different. After a long silence, she finally responded.
"恋人を作る気があるって言ったら、どうにかしてくれるの?"
But in the end, the boy didn't get the answer he wanted. Summer break came quickly, and the girl invited him on a trip. The boy didn't hesitate at all and agreed. They took a tram far from school and enjoyed street food together. We visited a fancy clothing store, both through the bustling night market. It was the happiest time for the boy that day. They arrived at a hotel. You had to share a bed overnight. The boy was confused, but the girl excitedly said,
それで寝るなんてドキドキする。
The boy quickly said he'd sleep on the couch. The girl, carefree, went to shower, reminding him not to peek. Suddenly, a voice came while washing.
私のバッグから洗顔クリームと。
Sleep tight.
ありがとう。ちなみに今全裸だよ。
The boy saw the bag stuffed with various medicines, truly feeling the girl's pain for the first time. She knew they were all pretending to be dads. The girl suggested, "Since we're finally out, let's drink and get really drunk." After a few rounds, the girl passed out on the floor. She refused to get up unless the boy carried her to bed. He did, but his mind was on the medicine.
Licensing reimagined.
She couldn't focus on anything else. Boy's serious expression. She seemed to understand something and toned down her usual carefree demeanor.
私が、本当は死ぬのがめちゃくちゃ怖いって言ったら、どうする?
The boy was confused. Ines understood, and she's so afraid of death. But what's the use of understanding if I can't even offer a comforting word? Yet, the next day, the two silently agreed to forget about it.
So it was time to say goodbye. The girl suggested to the boy, "If possible, let's travel together this winter." He hesitated briefly, then agreed. Her best friend quickly found her, unaware of her terminal illness. The boy didn't really respond that day. The girl invited him over to play games. Was she planning a prank or was she serious? The girl suddenly hugged him from behind, wanting to do something she always wanted before dying. Hormones filled the room, and the boy lost his mind. Feeling awkward, I wanted to leave quickly, but ran into her ex outside. She didn't want her ex-boyfriend bothering her at the end, but it made him angry, and they ended up getting a beating. Girl caught his attention, but she ignored her ex and held an umbrella for the boy. He felt ridiculous and asked sadly, "Why did you come into my life? I was fine alone. I wouldn't be hurt," but the girl explained. Our meeting was never just a coincidence.
Music licensing reimagined.
選択。私たちが今までしてきた一つ一つの選択が積み重なって、私たちを引き合わせたんだよ。
In the end, the boy chose to forgive the girl and decided to accompany her on her final journey. Soon, her condition worsened, and she was hospitalized, unable to attend school anymore. Whenever the boy has time, he visits her at the hospital. They're not officially a couple, but his visits always make her day. The girl quietly led him out of the hospital to the town's highest hill. I can't believe she's really gone. Try not to worry others, but it seems like you've always been secretly angry with me.
Music
Answer me. If only time could freeze this moment forever, wouldn't that be amazing? Eventually, reality hits. The girl was set to leave the hospital soon. He arrived early at the cafe to wait for her. She texted, saying she'd be there in 2 hours. They text to stay connected. The boy reminisced about his journey, feeling warmth in his heart. After much editing, he finally sent this message. "I want to eat your pancreas," she said when they first met in the library. He didn't respond. Nowadays, the boy replies to the girl with the same words. But after this message, he never hears from her again. Until dusk, until nightfall, the boy waited at the cafe until it closed, hoping for a message from the girl. Disappointed, he went home, checking his phone constantly. He checked for a text from her, but the news caught his eye.
関係者によりますと、事件に巻き込まれた市内の学校に通う高校生、山内さくらさん17歳は、刃物で胸部を刺された状態で路上に倒れているところを発見されたと。
Unlike the expected breakdown, the boy quietly returned to his room when loved ones leave. Tears don't always come. It feels like all of this is just a bad dream. He doesn't want to leave his room or eat even at the girl's funeral. He didn't show up. 10 days after the girl's passing, the morning sun touched his face. The boy accepted reality and found peace. No matter how the story ends, he has to face it. He arrived alone at the girl's house, and by then, the morning classmates had already left. You know, my brother. After I leave, don't laugh at me, even though I have so much reluctance. Here's the freedom you wanted. I'm giving it back to you.